front line with Joe and Joe, we've entertained the thought at times. It's just a thought. It's not anything that we really take seriously about what Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling a national divorce. Why? Because we don't want it? No, I think America should split. We think here America's finished. What form America takes after that is another question. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this video, because MTG was on with Sean Hannity. Okay. Yeah, it would be great. I don't want to deal with leftists. I don't want to deal with them in the public schools. And thank God my son doesn't go to a public school. But I don't want other children to be infected and infested by this woke ideology in the public schools. I don't want woke corporations. I want oil until electric is available and cheap. Okay, all these different things. I want to just right down the line have a society where nothing leftist, because they're completely insane. There's nothing good that comes from the left. No good ideas or things we should even entertain. Okay, I want none of that in my society, and I'll say that. And in that case, I agree with MTG. Problem is, ain't going to happen. All right, you're not splitting this country in two. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. Practically, I don't know. It'd be kind of difficult to get all the let's say we call them. Let's keep it left and right now. Right-wing people go to one side. I want the West. Okay, I think the West is nicer. Let them have the cold in the Northeast and Florida and all that. We'll take California and make California a really good state again. But you got to get people to move. You got to set up a government. It's not exactly so easy. But let's hear a little bit of what she has to say, and then we'll comment on it a little bit more.
Abused by the left and disrespected by the left. And our ideas, our policies, our ways of life have become so far apart that it's just coming to that point.
So far, so good. I agree with her 1,000%.
And the last thing I ever want to see in America is a civil war. No one wants that, at least.
The left wants that, MTG. That's a mistake you're making. The left wants a civil war. See, they don't want to split the country. They want to kill the conservatives. And that's not me being hyperbolic either. If you gave the average leftist, Antifa type, Black Lives Matter, hey, AOC and people who are sitting in the House of Representatives, a gun with 20 bullets in it, and they walked into a room with 20 unarmed conservatives, there's going to be 20 dead conservatives. They want a civil war, MTG. We don't. We don't want to see bloodshed, but they've already proven that they do, especially if you look at the summer of 2020. Let's continue.
Everyone I know would never want that, but it's going that direction, and we have to do something about it. We're also a nation, a crumbling nation. We're a nation in distress. Our government is in complete failure, over $34 trillion. We are on the verge of default, and we have to do something about that. But that was the right and the left that did that to the American people on their own. But the Democrats never stop pushing their policies, their ideas, and their culture on Republicans and the right. And we are so sick and tired of it. We're tired of.
Hold on, MTG. One thing. You said that the left and right do it. Okay. No, the right allows the left to do it. That's what we have to get through our heads. We say at the front line with Joe and Joe all the time. Okay. The left, they're the scorpions. Okay. And what do scorpions do? They sting. You can't stop a scorpion from stinging. It's going to, no matter what the scorpion tells you, that's what the scorpion is going to do. So why don't we take the scorpion at their word? Okay. The left is always going to sting, and the right allows them to do it. The right is the poor frog that lets the scorpion get on its back, and halfway across the river, the scorpion stings the frog, and they both go down. Because the left doesn't care about going down either. These are people who hate themselves. They hate humanity. They hate America. They hate God. So in order to destroy things, they'll go down with the ship. But as long as they destroy you, MTG, you need to get their mentality and their worldview straight, please.
Of our children being taught ideas and ideologies in school that we do not want our children taught. Like,
that's because conservatives don't go and get on the school board, MTG, but the left does. That's because conservatives don't try to fight for urban areas. Okay, but the left does, and they control the education establishment. They control the education dollars. Again, one more time, the scorpion stings, and conservatives in America allow them to do it.
gender lies. We do not want our children having their gender changed or transitioned. We can't even have women's sports and privacy in our bathrooms, and women in prison can't even have spaces. ESG, environmental social governance, has completely taken over corporate.
The reason why ESG has taken over is because free market conservatives, and Mike Pence proved this in a video I did recently. He disagreed with DeSantis going after Disney because, well, you know, I'm a free market conservative and I want to stand on free market principles. And I screamed into the screen and I said, no, that's where you're wrong. Is that conservatives need to get it through their head. Government action is not only needed; it's needed on steroids. With what the wokesters are doing in corporate America. That means intervention into the free market, MTG. That's what the government has to do. There needs to be targeted, limited, yet effective government action. And so-called laissez-faire capitalist conservatives are not going to go for that, including the guy who in this interview you're talking to, Sean Hannity.
Corporations, and this is a huge policy pressed on private businesses through the government from Democrats. If you're a white male today in the financial industry, you can forget it. You're a dinosaur. You're going extinct. No one should ever be hired by their skin color or their gender or
Marjorie,
how they identify. It should.
All right, let's stop it there, only because then Sean Hannity chimes in and the interview comes to an end. But here's a practical question I want to throw out there for all you wonderful people out there listening to me. This is The Front Line with Joe and Joe Pasillo. Of course, we love going way into the breach. You see on the screen, follow us on Twitter, @WithJoeandJoe, @WithJoeandJoe, and on YouTube, if you don't mind. Here's my question about the red part of the national divorce. Let's say you split the country down the middle, and the conservatives take everything from the Mississippi River west. Okay. So we have all that. We're going to have Texas. Okay. So we're going to have a lot of oil. We could ski. You could go to the beach and everything in between. You're going to have natural resources. We could thrive taking the western part. And so can the left, by the way, on the other side. Okay. They could thrive also. There's a lot of resources and things that they could get there. Here's my question. What is it going to look like, MTG? What is it going to look like when I, as a conservative Catholic, say in my red part of the country, or now it's a red country, say I don't recognize gay marriage because conservatives are telling me that I have to, or that I'm not coming to an accommodation on abortion. Abortion in our red country needs to be abolished, that babies don't get killed in the womb. That's what I want to see enshrined in our new Constitution. Conservatives tell me, no, we have to find an accommodation on abortion because women need to have at least a little choice. Okay, so maybe first trimester. I'm not going for that. I'm not going that for what on our side. Are corporations going to be able to exploit workers the way they do now in America? Or are we going to have an economy where corporations and a business and labor work together? Okay, to raise wages so that the businesses can make a ton of money that they want to, but they're going to take care of their workers so their workers could raise their families, so that the moms of those families don't have to go out into the workforce because dad makes enough money that he could support the family and send the kids to school and everything else, and the mom could stay home and raise those kids. Is that going to be what's happening in our new red Republican conservative nation? Because if not, I don't want it. Because we're just going to end up at the same spot we're in now, which I think is exactly where we're going. Joe Resinello did a short on this yesterday that you could see on our page, where he said, look, our problems run deeper than just saying, let's split the country. Even though it's a great idea, I like the idea. I'd like to split the country in three. And 1/3 is all faithful Roman Catholics and all people of goodwill who agree with us. So that would be like a bunch of other people, and they come and live in that place. And they don't mind if, let's say, for argument's sake, we ban abortion, gay marriage, all of it. You take the average Orthodox Jew is not going to absolutely not going to mind if we implement Catholic teaching, social teaching in our Constitution because they agree with us. Okay, so do conservative Protestants; they agree with us. Okay, so I want that third of the country. We'll take the Southwest and Texas. But anyway, that would be my question to MTG and others who are calling for this national divorce: is how long do you think it's going to last? And it's not going to last. It's not going to last because eventually those moral boundaries are going to erode also, okay, the same way they are and have been now. And you're just going to have another split, and another split, and another split. That's the way it's going to be because you're not going to have a homogeneous society. You're not going to have cultural hegemony. What you need in America isn't it just a simple adherence to our Constitution on the one hand, okay, where we just stick to the original intent of the Constitution, separation of powers. The government can do this, House does this, Senate does this, states do this. People have these rights, and you know the whole 9 yards, because all the good people out there who listen to us at the front line, we know the Constitution. Okay, we know what it calls for. Okay, but if we're not calling for moral boundaries, boldly, clearly, get rid of this moral relativism nonsense. Okay, clear moral boundaries, things you cannot do. Okay, like a doctor cannot tell a 16-year-old girl that she could cut off her breast and then proceed to do so. Or that we have to recognize that two men can marry each other or two women can marry each other. If we don't set our boundaries, or that you can't kill babies, okay, at any stage of development, okay, you can't kill babies. If we don't get those things straight, you could create all the red states you want, okay, or red countries you want. It ain't going to last. No society can last unless there are moral boundaries. Western civilization has eroded and done away with all moral boundaries. And until you get that straight, MTG, you're not going to get it right. The national divorce is not going to work. We have to get back to, at the very least, a basic understanding and agreement on what's allowed in our society and what's not allowed.